Hi, Bill Meyers again, here talking more about my mentors. Another one, Aureo Baqueiro, is my subject of this one. I met Aureo in 2002. It was through my work with Brian McKnight. I think he'd been in contact with Brian too. And he called me to discuss my coming down to Mexico City to arrange strings and play piano on songs for a new group that he was producing named Sin Bandera. And I liked him from the jump. Was and is kind, intelligent, very talented, good sense of humor, creative. He's got it all. He explained that we didn't have a large string section to work with down in Mexico City, but maybe around 12 players. But he wanted a large sound, and we could easily do overdubs to fill out that sound. I was really impressed with the quality of the material. The vocals, everything was good. And I was happy the way they arranged it. He was happy about the way the arrangements were coming out. I had mocked them on synths. Before I began, Aureo took the time to explain what the lyrics meant in English. And I was especially moved by one song. Well, all the songs were terrific, but I was especially moved by Suficiente. You know, I've traveled really all over the world, multiple continents, touring and also for leisure, but I'd not visited up to this point Mexico City. You know, because of Aureo, I later traveled to other locations in Mexico for other projects that we then worked on together. But this was an interesting introduction, an interesting trip. I was greeted by Aureo as we landed, and I was put up in an expensive hotel in an exclusive section of the city. And he told me to check out the stores before he came back to eat later with me. And on the streets, the first thing I thought when I noticed the two armed guards standing in front of a Beverly Hills type boutique, clothing store was, wow, I am not in America. There's submachine guns outside the front. There were large crowds and many impoverished people too on the streets, and that seared my brain. The session was at night. That night, and on the way there, Aureo pointed out to me that many of the musicians were a bit conceited, the string players, because they were the only ones getting all the recording sessions. And if I could be patient, he would back me up and made sure that he kept them in line until all the parts were, to our liking and correct. So I found that interesting. I was like, okay, what am I in for here? The first two songs were they went down easily, and that brought us now to Suficiente. And I was writing to an acoustic piano part and the vocal, and both of these were performed flawlessly. These two singers just matched wonderfully. And the song, Suficiente, is about two young orphan boys on the streets. And again, thinking back what had happened in the afternoon and all that. And another incident that happened right after the session, I really started to lock in on this. And basically these two boys in the song, as they're walking down the street, are looking into restaurants, expensive clothing stores outside. And the oldest is promising to the youngest that one day he will work hard and make sure that they're going to have all the best things in life. It moved me. I put a lot of emotion into this arrangement, and it's a sorrowful song. I had multiple parts and passes for the strings, but many of them at one point just started complaining, and I didn't know what to do. And to my good luck, Aureo came out and saved me and just said he largely admonished all of them and asked them to think about the children portrayed in the song and how lucky these musicians were to be able to interpret this. That kind of did the trick. I saw everybody get quiet. We had a couple more passes that were necessary, to tighten it up. And the final result was just inspired. They were able to pull it together, and I felt the emotion that needed to match the quality of the vocals and the lyric and the piano. This was the first of many wonderful projects with Aureo that I got to work on, and I'll be getting into those on other blogs that I do. He believed in me, with larger orchestration, and he became the producer of music for the Pan American Games. And I was given the ability to score that in 2012-13 for the opening and closing ceremonies. And then that was followed a couple of years later by the Central American Games, which I guess the Central American Games are the ones that they don't invite the U.S. because maybe we win too many medals down there. I don't know. I was also work on a ballet at the 150th anniversary of Cinco de Mayo for him, and firework music. It's been an extremely wonderful relationship, and it allowed me to advance, in my own career, and for that I thank Aureo from the bottom of my heart.